There are places on this earth that feel like home the moment you step into them. Places that make your soul hum, where the air tastes like hope and life seems to promise that maybe, just maybe, you have found where you are meant to be. The zone, however, is not one of those places, but this time, dear viewer, we observe from a different vantage point, through the visor of a UN research group operative, one of those poor souls we graciously obliterated in the previous episode. Meet Lieutenant Mike Litores, a man whose talents lie in discovering the most hidden things known to mankind. As tradition dictates, we commence our operation by setting the difficulty to its highest possible level, because, obviously, we despise ourselves. However, in a rare display of common sense, the economy will remain on medium since, well, the entire zone is basically trying to murder us, and even the UN can probably afford something better than a torn jacket and a 50-year-old pistol. Like, say, a hunting shotgun and a 100-year-old pistol, huh? Not bad, right? We begin our mission in a top-secret UN base hidden somewhere in a darkscape, and immediately get raided by bandits. Luckily, while I was still putting my pants on, someone else handled the job for me. After that, Major Hernandez gave me the full briefing on the situation. Basically, no one in the zone wants us here. And if anyone does see us, we should make sure they don't live long enough to tell anyone. Of course, the local mercs are up to their usual business, selling their loyalty to anyone with a wallet, and their leader, Dushman, apparently has some information related to our mission, and he is eager to share it. So our first task? A relaxing little stroll across the most hostile territory in Eastern Europe, all the way to Dead City. To say I was being discreet would be ambitious. Given how limited my current gear was, my only real option was to run the hell away from the firefight. No, we are not going that way. Still, I did take out a few hostiles on the way, specifically 5 dogs and 4 zombies. They definitely would be telling anyone about me. Eventually, I made it to wild territory where I finally saw some friendly mercenary faces. From there, it was a short jog to that city where we dropped in on Dushman. He gave us the intel we came for and offered a chance to make some quick cash. Given the tragic state of my bank account, I immediately accepted, as well as offers from several other fine gentlemen. My brilliant career began with a position in parcel delivery. It ended swiftly when I stepped into Anomaly and perished. Shortly thereafter, I accepted a quest of vital importance to locate highly sensitive documents which, as it turns out, were hidden under a rock on the garbage. The most efficient road once again led through wild territory, only this time it truly earned its name. I found myself in the midst of a brutal skirmish and only then remembered that I had spent my last lunch money on ammunition and neglected to buy actual lunch. So I feasted like a true survivor on the barely cooked remains of a dead mutant rat. We went to sleep hungry, midly irradiated and full of regret, hoping we'd actually wake up the next morning. The next morning I was awakened by 2 unmistakable signs of life. A thunderous firefight just beyond the walls and a stomach so empty it had begun devouring itself. Luckily, the zone is full of enemies and therefore full of corpses. Maybe, just maybe, I'll find some food on one of them. Unfortunately, I seem to be the only one around here who still eats food instead of lead. Fucking netless. Who the hell planted this crap? A full-face burn. So I move on and soon stumble upon a group of bandits. For once, I'm about to kill someone not for fun, but for food. Sadly, they kill me first and that was definitely for fun. Fucking assholes. How do you even walk around the zone without carrying food? That's life, huh? The UN's out there force-feeding African kids into diabetes, while its field operatives survive on radioactive garbage stew. After finally scrapping together enough money to feed my starving body promptly becomes boar food. Eventually, I crawl back to the mercenary base where I have to elbow my way past my colleagues and quietly loot all the corpses they left behind. With some basic supplies in my pocket, I officially become an Uber Eats courier, and right in the middle of my delivery route, I get a message from our expedition commander. Best message I have received so far. Unfortunately, the stash is in a goddamn psi-irradiated zone. If you are trying to kill me, just say so. Anyway, I drop off the package, ask the guy to come with me, but the bastard smelled trouble a mile away and demanded my entire month's salary up front. You're lucky, my friend, I don't have a single ruble. Since we are already here, might as well swing by Yantar and try to grab that stash. Of course, the moment I set foot in the area, every local lab rat came running to get a look at the UN's very own special agent. And they looked, for the first and last time in their lives. I find this rifle very sexual. Don't worry, my darling, I fix you up, I promise. We shredded everyone in sight. Thankfully, they were polite enough to form a queue and approach one by one. I'm pretty sure this is what command meant when they told me to operate with stealth. At the end of this rave, Professor Sakharov Dada himself waddled out of the bunker. Killing the local scientific authorities seemed a bit too much, so we let him run off screaming. Poor guy. Every time I come to the zone, his week gets ruined. The smell of the dead would linger here for some time. Reaching the stash turned out to be a lost cause, but with the sheer amount of loot I recovered from the corpses, there was really no reason to complain. Having sold all the junk and taken a nap in the building where someone thought it was a great idea to start the campfire on the wooden floor, we finally set out for the garbage once again. This time, we actually make it, and are immediately treated to a bullet in the skull. Such hospitality shouldn't go unanswered, so I returned the favor with one grenade and a bullet for everyone. Meanwhile, over at the flea market, a firefight had broken out between stalkers and thugs, and, unfortunately for them, I decided to join in. Fortunately for me, Duty decided to just stand at their checkpoint and watch the whole circus unfold. Sorry, brother. For freedom and equality of all mankind. After finding the documents under a concrete slab, just as expected, I headed toward the local depot, burning with curiosity to see if anyone was still alive there. The answer was quite little. Meanwhile, I received another message about a secret stash somewhere in the agroprom and decided that if I wanted to reach it alive, I'd better take a detour around the depot. Of course, that didn't help much. I got killed right at the transition to the new area. Thinking I was the smart one, I tried ambushing the bandits and shooting them like sitting ducks, but turns out this guy was the real genius. There was no avoiding a bloodbath, so I went back to the depot to explain to the locals how horribly wrong they were. Unfortunately, Slava Ventilator had a rather knockout argument. If I got $1 for every time I died, I'd have a pretty decent retirement fund by now. Boys, my patience is infinite. I'll keep coming back from hell itself until every last one of you is dead. What the fuck? Where the hell did you come from? Oh, nice express delivery. Approved. You sons of bitches. Good day, sir. At least you are not trying to kill me. Oh, for fuck's sake, more of you, seriously? People look around, you really want to die for nothing? Then the soldiers showed up, drawn by the fire or maybe the smell. Didn't matter, I dropped them like rookies. One of them even had time to chat. Well, I wouldn't exactly say we think for ourselves, but sure, welcome to the organization, soldier. Food's on you. Having finally reached Agroprom, we find the long-awaited stash. Psh, great, I'm stuck. I'm stuck, step bro. Any second now, some soldier gonna duck with my ass. Fucking wagon. How many stalkers have been caught like this already? Escaping yet another trap laid by the zone, I head back through garbage toward wild territory, when suddenly, on what I thought was a cleared area, a full squad of bandits in exosuits spawned in. With my resources already nearly gone, I decided to hide and let them pass, but our new recruit had other plans. No. No, 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 don't... Oh, you son of a... Oh! Shit. The zone once again reminded me, nothing's ever easy. And it really wasn't easy for those poor bastards either. I burned through every bullet and last shreds of my luck. Duty forces showed up in wild territory, eager to purge the zone's filth, only to get shot in the back by a proud representative of international diplomacy. But soon after, the scientists arrived, clearly having caught wind of my location, and judging by their enthusiasm, they were quite eager to avenge the total exterminatus of their colleagues. The odds weren't in my favor, but luckily, I had a few tripwires handy, enough to get me out of that mess mostly in one piece. With the zone's average IQ now officially reduced again, I returned to base, turn in all the quests, sell the loot, walk away with a ton of money. Still, it became clear the situation was getting out of hand and the stealth really needed to become my primary strategy. After all, my name's Michael Torres, not Charlie Dickens. I had enough cash to buy a proper mercenary suit, changed in a quiet corner, and everyone politely pretended they did not recognize me. But in the end, I had way fewer enemies in the zone. Much better. To tie off this bloody saga, we still need a bit more money, just enough to bring my beloved rifle back from the dead. Doucheman had a task, another document hunt, but this time, it's in a building next door. Now that's the kind of job I was born for. I also pick up another contract, a simple extermination run of some humanoids not far from base. While my mates do jack shit, standing behind cover and trying to draw fire, I'm going to fuck myself. What the fuck are you watching? And so, we are on the move again, headed toward the army warehouses. There, the plan is simple. Cut down a few members of duty, and thin out the ranks of whatever semi-intelligent filth is lurking nearby. But when we arrive, we discover someone's already done the job for us. Well then, guess we just collect the reward. With that, we finally have enough money to repair my precious companion. Now, fully restored, she's ready for action, and we can finally focus on our primary objective. Using the services of local guide, we set off for Zaton. From there, it's just a stone's throw to the Jupiter plant, where my team has set up shop and is waiting for me, along with some intel from Doucheman. After soaking up a solid dose of radiation from the local river, still better than fighting Monolith's entire army, we finally find our boys, hand over the data, and receive a new assignment. Now I'm in charge of a fine squad of international lads, and we are tasked with breaking into the plant, finding yet another case of top-secret documents, and cleaning up any witnesses. Makes me wonder, is this before or after Charlie Dickens did the exact same thing here last time? Anyway, we push forward and half of my squad immediately dies on the spot. The other half a little further. Yeah, guys, you are really no match for the local hobos. Guess I'll have to do everything myself again. We find the case with documents and bring it back to our commander Hernandez. He then shares a brilliant idea. Since we are already here, why don't we go down into the underground tunnel and look for more documents there? Brilliant idea, my friend, go fuck yourself. So we descend. It's pretty empty down there apart from a few snorks that jump us out of pure joy and a couple of pseudo-hamsters running around. Eventually we find the documents, the very ones that apparently have been waiting all these years just for us. Then manager tells us that this pile of paperwork has supposedly shed light on many mysteries of the zone, and that to fully understand everything, we now need to run across every lab in existence and collect more documents. Yes, finally, a true stalker experience, exactly what I was missing, going into these godforsaken labs for the third time in a row over the last few months. I did have the audacity to ask what the point of all this actually was. Does the UN genuinely want to help humanity, or are they just trying to corner the artifact trade in the zone? The answer I got was simple: that's none of your fucking business. Since we are already beneath Pripyat, why not stop by the most miserable lab in the entire zone while we are here? Naturally, the moment we crawl back up to the surface, the local chimera comes out to explain that this is a gay neighborhood, and we are not welcome here. Alright, I'll come back another time. Let's head back to base for now and restock. From there, it's just a short walk to Lapex 16, which seems like a good place to start. I tried taking the shortcut from Dead City, but run face first into 3 snorks who immediately greet me with a slap across the face. Then I think, why not check in on the local scientists at the bunker? I wonder how they're holding up after I completely wiped them out last time. Thankfully, my disguise works perfectly. Everyone just assumes I'm a regular scumbag merc selling his soul to whoever's got cash, not a UN operative that should be shot on sight. But Professor Sakharov, however, clearly caught a nasty case of PTSD. Even with the disguise on, he just panics and bolts the moment I step inside. Hey, dog, easy, easy, I'm not gonna hurt you. Where are you running? Why are you running? It's dangerous out there, I just wanted to talk. There we go, that's better. Poor man desperately needs a psychiatrist. Possibly two. There was nothing unusual waiting for us in the lab. Same script as always. We go in, we go down, we grab the junk, we leave. After that, we bump into the professor again in yet another tight corridor, sell him a pile of garbage and head off to the Agroprom underground. Again, no real resistance there either. Same documents, same hiding spot. At this point, I'm pretty sure they print them in advance, with every stalker's name on them. 2 copies each. On the way out, though, we finally get a surprise. The dungeon's real owner shows up and immediately explains who's in charge around here. After recovering from that, we make our way to Lab X18, a place we actually haven't visited yet. For once, something new. The entrance to the lab was guarded by a squad of military and they were pretty well equipped too. But my clitoris has seen worse. So we get through without much trouble and head down. 2 snorks rush us and 2 heads hit the floor. Then we find a dead scientist with the door code to the lower levels. As soon as I opened the door deeper into the lab, a wave of stench hit me straight in the face. The thick aroma of peace, fear and a psy-attack turning my brain into a filet mignon. Unable to resist my burning curiosity to uncover every secret of the zone, I went down and avoided a fate worse than death. Next time, I barely made it far enough to crawl into a toilet and die there. My clitoris couldn't handle that kind of stimulation, but as I was lying there, wondering what could possibly save my sorry ass, I saw this. I wasn't sure if sleeping pills could help against a full-blown psy assault, but I didn't have any doubts either. Still, that was more than enough to let me push forward, stumble my way downstairs and vaporize the source of the headache. A family-sized serving of poltergeist, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. The local pseudo-giant didn't feel left out either, he got his share of love. After turning him into a poodle, we find yet another dead scientist with a door code, and what the fuck? Turns out I didn't die, I just passed out cold from the sleeping pills. After a few hours of quality rest on the bare concrete, I felt surprisingly refreshed and ready to keep uncovering the zone's mysteries. We grabbed the documents, dealt with a poltergeist guarding them, and headed back to base. Time to sell some junk and finally get some proper sleep on a busted metal bed with stretched out springs from the Soviet era. Our next target, Lab X10 up at the radar. But marching there through the army warehouses, melting a monolith army on the way, and absorbing a year's worth of radiation on the surface of Mercury wasn't exactly part of the plan. So instead, we detoured to the Freedom Base to visit their mechanic and sell him a full set of tools for a fat payout. Our own tech was fully upgraded ages ago. That done, I figured 12 hours of sleep would be enough after everything I've been through, but no, apparently not. I passed out for another 8 hours and wake up to strange noises. Turns out 2 monolith fanatics spawned on the base while I was asleep. They got thoroughly slapped around and one of them was still alive, surrounded by half the base, just standing over him, staring menacingly. Guys, just finish him. You fucking animals. I had to set off around evening, but that didn't stop me from stumbling straight into a party in the Red Forest. A party where I was clearly the guest of honor despite no one inviting me, probably for very deadly reasons. Still, the situation might actually be working in my favor. My goal is to reach the Lab X10 straight through a massive monolith stronghold. No escape roads, no way back. It's time to prove what I'm really made of. Time for stealth, tactical maneuvering, and finally, playing the way a specialist in covert operations should play. Tonight, no one will see my clitoris. Bravo 6, going dark. Oh, for fuck's sake, this thing is burning my eyes out. God, I hope I finish before I develop cataracts. Turns out, if you move under cover of night, keep your flashlight off and use a suppressor, the only thing that gives you away is your smell. Which, honestly, checks out. A few bullets still came flying my way. Unleashing a torrential downpour of lead and shit, we wiped out everyone unlucky enough to be between me and Lab X10. My clitoris knew no fear, no mercy, no defeat. He also didn't know he probably shouldn't mine every single hallway. Disarming your own traps can cost you half a face. No slaughter could ever satisfy my clitoris. Like a grim reaper in tactical gear, I sent dozens of fanatical souls to the monolith. And now that the documents are in my hands, only Lab X8 in Pripyat remains. No chimera in the city this time, but of course, as per tradition, the building above Lab X8 was packed with zombified stalkers and monolith troops. After clearing their skulls of both cooked and half-cooked brain matter, I cracked open a fine can of tuna to recharge and headed downstairs on the lookout for a snork slab, a dead snork slab, and various heavy objects. Slab. All documents recovered, we headed back to the surface where, in this timeline, we were greeted not by mercs, but by soldiers, who promptly added a second ventilation hole to my forehead. Next attempt went better. I managed to sleep out the building before they could get to my ass. Took cover, and with precision, grace, and little righteous fury, made them regret ever being born. With no more interruptions, I was finally free to deliver all the lab documents I'd collected, which I had totally sold to traders earlier. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm even handing over to the commander at this point. But Major Hernandez, in a rare display of unprofessional emotion, looked ready to kiss my clitoris for a job well done. He said we were only missing one last piece for full enlightenment. The ultimate source of knowledge about the zone. Someone willing to cooperate and testify against the Ukrainian government, or at the very least not be immediately neutralized by the SBU. Of course, he meant s.t.a.l.k.e.r. Having received coordinates to a familiar location, our next task was clear: rescue s.t.a.l.k.e.r. from the military or kill him if necessary and take everything he knows. The Major offered us a squad for backup, given how important the mission was, but we declined. No point wasting lives when my clitoris is the squad. Upon arrival at the meeting point, I immediately pop a soldier's brain with a clean headshot and... nothing happens. They just keep walking around peacefully like I'm not even there. Apparently, like most men in the world, they simply don't see my clitoris, even when he's staring them dead in the eyes. Fine. Let's pretend it's not a bug but a feature. I walk up to s.t.a.l.k.e.r. and convince him to come with me, assuring him that we can help him escape his pursuers. He tells me about a hidden spot in the Red Forest, says no one will find us there, and that's where he will share everything he knows, and agree to cooperate. But knowing this sneaky bastard, I smelled bullshit before anyone even dropped their pants. So I lured the poor fool into our little sex dungeon, told him to look at the flowers, and shot him in the back of the head like a rabid dog. Naturally, the Major went ballistic. He'd wipe my clitoris off the face of the earth. But luckily, s.t.a.l.k.e.r.'s body had a flash drive on it, and whatever was on it blew Hernandez's mind so hard he told me the mission was over. It was time to go home. Damn, my sun is kinda dark. Honey, do you have something to tell me?